Imagine this. A quiet outback station miles from anywhere. A little boy just 4 years old, laughing, running around the yard. And then, silence. No scream. No struggle. Not a single trace. One moment he's there. And the next it's like the earth swallowed him. This is one of those stories that sticks with you. Because kids don't just disappear in the middle of nowhere, right? Someone always sees something. Something always turns up. But in this case, nothing. And today, we're looking at the heartbreaking disappearance of Gus Lamont, a little boy who vanished from a remote Australian station, leaving behind a mystery so chilling, authorities are now draining dams searching for answers. Intro. Now, if you're new here, this is where we break down real cases, the ones that keep families awake at night, the ones that stay unsolved, and the ones that make the world ask, what really happened? And trust me, this case is different. It's raw. It's confusing. It's emotional. Police searched hundreds of square kilometers. Drones, horses, helicopters, military support. A footprint, a single tiny footprint in the dirt, and then nothing. No shoes found. No clothing. No evidence of a fall or a struggle. Just a boy gone without a trace. And just recently, authorities came back. Not for a routine check, not for a box tick. They returned with a mission: drain a dam on the family's own land. Think about that for a second. It's been months. Searchers already combed the property. And yet, they still believe the answer may be right there, hidden beneath the water. So the question is, what are police really looking for? And why are they still convinced the truth is somewhere on that land? Stick with me because this case, it only gets stranger from here. We're talking a remote outback property, a child who couldn't have gone far, and a search so massive experts say a disappearance like this should be impossible. But here we are. And the most heartbreaking part. His family wakes up every day not knowing if their little boy wandered off. Or if someone nobody saw drove down that dusty road and took him. Because in the outback, you don't expect danger to come to you. You expect silence, peace, isolation. Until suddenly, silence isn't peaceful anymore. It's terrifying. All right, let's go back to the beginning. Where was Gus? Who was there? And how did a normal day on a rural station turn into one of the most haunting mysteries Australia has seen in years? Let's dive in. So let's walk through that morning together. Because the timeline here, it matters. And trust me, once you hear how fast everything happened, you're gonna sit back and go, wait, what? That's it. It was just a normal day on the family's cattle station. Sun out, dust in the air. That peaceful kind of quiet only the outback can give you. Gus is outside like any country kid. Exploring, playing, burning off that endless 4-year-old energy. You know that little kid curiosity, right? Everything is an adventure, every stick, every puddle, every pile of dirt. His family is nearby. They're not off in town, they're not asleep, they're right there on the property. Multiple adults around. And this is the part that gives people chills. He was seen. He was right there. And then he was. We're talking minutes. Not hours. Not some long window where someone could sneak around undetected. Minutes. He wanders off, or so it seems, and suddenly he's just gone. Now imagine being that family in that moment. You call his name, right? Gus, Gus. You expect him to giggle from behind a shed or pop out from behind a tractor like, here I am. But nothing. No sound. No little footsteps running back. Just silence and a sinking feeling, that feeling every parent fears so deeply they can barely breathe thinking about it. They check everywhere nearby. Inside sheds. Under vehicles. Around the homestead. You know how panic builds. At first you're like, he's hiding, it's fine. Then suddenly your heart is racing and every horrible possibility flashes through your mind. Minutes turn into an hour. And the property is big, this is open land. Bush, grass, dams, fences, dust roads stretching forever. They call police. They don't wait. Search teams arrive. Soon there are officers, neighbors, volunteers, everyone spreading out in every direction. And then a tiny detail that becomes huge. A footprint. Just one. A small child's footprint in the dirt, heading away from the house. And honestly, that one moment split everything in two. Because a footprint means he walked off right. Or does it mean someone walked him off? Was he lost? Or led? And after that single footprint, nothing. No trail. No more prints. No torn clothing. No dropped toy. Not a single clue. It's like he stepped into the outback and vanished into thin air. Meanwhile, the sun starts dropping. And if you've ever been out bush, you know night there isn't just dark, it's a different world. Cold, silent, huge. Every minute ticking by feels heavier. Searchers are calling, flashlights scanning, helicopters overhead, and still nothing. A child doesn't just disappear in wide open space like that. Not without a trace. Not without a sound. Someone knows something. Or something happened that no one can explain yet. And this is where the case shifts from a simple missing child search to a full-blown mystery that shakes the whole country. All right. Now this is where the story stops being just heartbreaking and becomes unbelievable. Because after that moment Gus vanished, the search didn't just start. It exploded. We're talking helicopters scanning the land, drones overhead, SES volunteers, bush trackers, police on foot, horseback, ATVs. You name it. This wasn't a lazy search. This was full force, all hands on deck. And yet, hour after hour, nothing. No sound. No clothing. No disturbed brush. No footprints after that one tiny mark in the dirt. Just silence, the kind that makes your stomach twist. Day one becomes day two. Dust, heat, exhaustion, you can feel the desperation in the air. Families cry quietly, rescuers push through exhaustion. And every time a radio crackles, everyone freezes like, is this it? Did they find him? But they never did. And here's the detail that really hits you. Authorities believed at first that Gus simply wandered off. A little kid, curious, drifting into the scrub. But this land isn't forgiving. It's rugged. Bush, dams, creeks, snakes, wild terrain. A child alone. For hours. Then days. It didn't add up. So the search gets bigger. Police begin methodically clearing dams, draining them layer by layer. They bring in cadaver dogs, thermal cameras, and experienced trackers. Still nothing. And when every normal explanation starts to collapse, what happens? Suspicion creeps in. Not accusations, but questions. Did someone take him? Was there a car on that long outback road? Could someone have been watching? His family, heartbroken and exhausted, becomes the center of public pain. Not blame, pain. That awful weight where parents replay every second thinking, what did we miss? What more could we do? Online theories spread. Kidnapping. Animal attack. He wandered too far and simply disappeared. But there's no drag marks. No clothing. No physical evidence of an attack. No sighting of a vehicle. Just one child, one footprint. And a void of answers. And you know what people kept saying? How does a kid vanish on open land, broad daylight, family right there? It doesn't feel random. It doesn't feel simple. And that's why this case doesn't fade. It claws at your mind. People want closure. They want truth. And the longer there's silence, the louder the questions get. Police start considering every angle. Stranger abduction. Accident. Misadventure. Even possibilities that break your heart to imagine. But without evidence, every theory feels like trying to hold smoke. Imagine the emotional toll. Rescuers crying in private. Parents stuck between hope and agony. A community waking up for days thinking, today we'll find him. And every night going to sleep with the same question. Where is Gus? Because kids don't just vanish. Not like this. Not without a reason. Not without a trace. And if someone knows something, they haven't come forward yet. But here where the story takes a turn. A moment investigators hesitate to talk about. A development that changes the tone of everything. Okay, take a breath. Because this part hurts to even say out loud. When days turn into weeks, and hope starts fighting with reality, the tone of this case changes. The search doesn't slow, it intensifies. But now, instead of just searching the bush, Investigators begin searching possibilities, and each one is heavier than the last. At first, police truly believed Gus walked off and got lost. But here's the thing. Kids leave tracks. Kids leave signs, clothes snag, socks mark ground. Little hands brush dirt, footprints lead somewhere. And here, nothing after that tiny footprint. Nature doesn't swallow a child without a trace. Not in broad daylight. Not with a search this massive. This theory starts to crumble. Now nobody wants to say this. But when there's no evidence of staying, you start considering the possibility of being taken. Was someone watching? A vehicle nearby? A chance encounter in the middle of nowhere? It sounds impossible, remote outback, few roads, tiny community. But sometimes the most isolated places are where the most unthinkable things happen. Families asked. Police questioned. Locals interviewed. Nothing public ever confirmed. The whispers grow louder. If he didn't walk away, someone took him. Dams searched. Creeks checked. Wells investigated. Authorities even drained bodies of water. If something happened accidentally, you'd expect evidence. But again, silence. And silence in a case like this. It's suffocating. At this stage, the community isn't just searching. They're begging for answers. Parents cling to hope. Then guilt. Then hope again. An emotional loop no human should ever experience. People online debate. Speculate. Judge. Not out of cruelty, out of helplessness. Because when there are no answers, the internet fills the gaps with opinions. And that's a dangerous place for a grieving family. Authorities continue working. They insist the investigation isn't closed. They're not calling it over. Not even close. Behind the scenes, detectives keep digging. Phone records, witness interviews. Land researches. Quiet surveillance. Technology reviews. They know something is missing. They feel it. And the public feels it too. We're left staring at the most terrifying possibility. A child disappeared in plain sight. And nobody knows how. No answers. No closure. Just an ache that doesn't fade. This case isn't cold. It isn't forgotten. It's a wound still open, still raw. And until the truth comes out, one question will haunt everyone who's followed this story. Where is Gus Lamont? Not a rumor. Not a theory. A real little boy. Still missing. And someone somewhere knows exactly what happened. If cases like this shake you the way they shake me, stick around. We're not done looking for answers. We're not done asking questions. If you found this story important, and honestly, how could you not? Like, share, and subscribe. More real stories. More truth-seeking. More voices for the missing. No fade-outs. No forgetting. Because kids don't just vanish. And silence doesn't get the last word here. Not on this channel. If you'd like, I can now.